Hey, Israel, how you doing, Bonnie? Long
Good.
time, Bonnie. How you doing?
How are you doing?
Pretty good. Where are you these days?
Texas and Florida.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mhm.
Florida should be pretty good, right?
Say again?
Florida should be pretty good.
It is pretty good, yeah.
Let's see, Israel, that's good. Rebecca, how are you? Hey, Watt.
All right, so it's 10:30, and I think those people who are coming have come. It's nice to meet everyone today. I'm Sam. I think I've talked to everybody here, but I don't know that I've seen
Oh,
everybody
there's
in
Alex and Corey.
person.
Where's the
Hey,
little man?
Alex.
Bring up
All right.
Caden. Where's Caden? Is Caden there?
All right. This is grandbaby
Oh, yeah.
reveal.
There's grandbaby central here.
This is Charlie's grandbaby shown on Alex Zerzula's screen. There you go. All
Yeah, there
right.
he is. So
Charlie.
that's my little guy
He's
there.
kicking off the Zoom.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So we're going to break this into three sections. We're going to have just an update on the market from me and Charlie and I, and then we're going to give it to you all to ask any questions about any deals that you have going on, anything that's come up in your world that's that we should talk about, and then we will do the same and talk about some of our deals. All right, you can mute yourselves or come on and off as you see fit. There's not so many people here that we need to sort of like control the environment. So in terms of what we've been seeing in the marketplace, Charlie I think has a couple of images he's going to share with you, but we see a really segmented market in terms of sales and pricing. So some parts of the community subdivision at a subdivision level are doing really well. You'll list a house and sell it in a day or two. There's zero inventory. Parts of Arlington, Falls Church, Prince William, Montgomery County, and then we see more of a neutral situation in Prince George's County, and then in large parts of DC, we see a lot of people struggling to market their properties. Just beautiful assets that have come down like 20% in price, 30% in price in Trinidad. You'll go in there and you'll see just way more actives than pending, and you see it's going to take months and months to move all of this inventory. So I think with that, I'll turn it over to Charlie. Charlie, I'm going to share the screen. So you got to watch your participants and add folks as they jump on, because a few people are jumping on here. And let me just get that shared with you right now. All right, you're the host.
All right, I'm the host. Okay. So I'll be able to, where will I see the participants if they're coming in?
Just click the participants button in the lower
Got it.
left.
Yeah, got it.
Left. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. All right, sounds good. Good morning, guys. So we plan on doing this once a month. And so one of the reasons why we're doing it is we might open it up to everybody on our list, but right now it's primarily for anybody that's on my weekly coming soon email list and our current borrowers or past borrowers. So we're trying it out. We'll do it once a month. We'll cover updates to the market. We'll cover any needs that you guys might have as borrowers, and then any good deeds that we have. And Karen's on here, so you guys can see Karen. Wave, Karen. Karen is the one that came up with this idea, and I actually think it's a pretty good idea because, one of the things that we offer you guys is that we offer you guys insight into the market because we basically have a four-pronged business model. We still fix and flip houses too. But you guys are on this because you're either borrowers of Clear Sky Financial or you're just interested in Clear Sky Financial from the hard money standpoint. We also have a rental portfolio, both commercial and residential. And as Ed's here, he's our attorney, and he specializes in tax lien certificate investing. So we are all over the market in different facets. We're in DC, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, Florida. We know these markets like the back of our heads, and so we're going to be able to give you guys insight into a variety of markets. And so Sam covered a little bit of the updates, and I'm going to chime in with a couple of updates too. And as you guys know, interest rates have increased dramatically in the last year and a half. We think the Fed is done increasing rates. We're not sure. We think maybe 2 more quarter point interest rates are coming. But as far as its effect on real estate, residential real estate, we feel that we're probably out of the woods as far as that's concerned, because the underlying consumer is getting used to these increased 30-year rates. So the market is coming back to a normalcy a little bit. And so one of the things that you guys got to keep an eye on is, what does inventory look like in particular subdivisions? Because from a macro view, you're going to hear all these analysts say stuff macro about the market, but this is really what's called a micro market. And what I mean by that, it's a market down to the most granular level, which is a subdevelopment level. And so you guys got to keep mind of that, especially if you're buying fix and flips. You got to understand, is a subdevelopment a bull subdevelopment? Is it a bear subdevelopment? And is it neutral? And I'm going to go over a couple of examples here in a second so that you guys can actually see it firsthand on what it looks like. The other thing that I want to talk about is a little bit more broader, and that touches into the commercial space. And one of the things that you guys got to keep an eye on, and that's with the Class B, Class C office space environment. There's a lot of vacancies in those Class B, Class C office spaces. And we got to keep an eye on that, because leases are coming due soon, refinances are coming due soon. And what's happened is that the interest rates have gone up so much, vacancies have gone up so much, that these buildings don't cash flow the way they used to do. And what that means is that the value of the buildings are much less than what they used to be. Now, how does that impact us? Well, that impacts us because who are the primary lenders to these Class B, Class C office spaces? And that's the community banks. So we have to keep an eye on the community banks' debt load, because if they continue to be over encumbered with these bad loans, then what's going to end up happening is that they have to do what's called a capital call and raise a lot of money. And a lot of these guys aren't going to be able to do it. And so they have a chance to be taken over by the FDIC. Okay, I got one in the waiting room, Sam. I'm getting good at this. I think this is Teddy. So Teddy's coming on. Sorry, guys. I don't know how long he was in the waiting room, but I'm new at this. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I want you guys to tell me if you can see it. Also, too, as we're going along with this, if you guys have any kind of questions, please don't be shy to ask, because we want to make this as interactive as possible. We don't really want to control the scene too much. All right. All right. Tell me when you guys can see it. Can you guys see the screen?
Yeah.
All right. Is it big enough, Sam, on their screen?
Yeah, full screen.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a scenario. And in this particular subdivision, it's called Congress Heights, right? Congress Heights is a subdivision in Washington, D.C. Okay. And I'm going to show you guys what it looks like today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over all townhouses. I'm not going to segment semi-detached. I'm going to go over townhouses. Townhouses, 3 levels. It's a little bit of an older inventory environment, 1940 to 1960, right? And so when you're renovating them, you're going to obviously, they're going to have, it's not going to be the 1 bath class inventory. It's going to be 2 baths or more. Okay. And I want to show you guys what that looks like. So what I did is bathrooms 2 or more full. I did Congress Heights, year built 1940, 1960, townhouses, coming soon, active under contract, pending and closed. You guys see this? And then 3 levels. All right. So when I hit results, you guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay. What is, some of you that might not be familiar with the MLS, I'll explain it, but what is the thing that is missing with this search?
Pending.
Right.
Contract.
Right. There's no pending and there's no under contracts. So what that tells you is that this particular subdivision is a falling knife. Okay. And so in order to sell a property in this subdivision, you're going to have to be the best condition, lowest price property. All right. So right now we've got one on 4314 Wheeler Road, right, which is active at 499. But you guys see the arrow going down by the price? They've already done a bunch of price corrections to try and sell this home. They start at 449 and they're down to 419. And this is what I mean by a falling knife. And the condition is actually pretty good. It's staged. You see the picture?
The place is beautiful.
Yeah, the place is fantastic. But you got to be careful because you don't want to buy into a subdivision in this scenario because you got to be able to price it correctly. And right now, I couldn't tell you what the ARV is. So if you brought me a property in Congress Heights, right, between 1940 and 1963 levels, my ARV on this guy is probably going to be around $400,000. I'm going to really underprice it. And at that point, I don't even know what the price is. So that's what
I mean, what is the price when there's not any buyers for a product?
Yeah, great question. I have no idea.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is very challenging. So for you as investors, you have to be able to understand the subdevelopments that look like this. Okay. So you guys understand that? Oh, wait a minute, admitter. Kelly's coming in. Okay, so that's what a falling knife subdivision looks like, guys. And this information that I'm giving to you guys is going to prove very, very vital in case this market hits the skids or we get into more turbulent times. And 314 Wheeler Avenue, and I did all this renovation, I did all this staging, and I dropped my price from 449 to 419. And if I have that agent telling me they have no idea what to price it at, I'm actually getting a little nervous. So I probably will have to go to plan B, which says they might have to turn this thing into a rental. And they did a beautiful flip grade renovation. They certainly didn't do a rental grade renovation. So they priced this thing to flip it, but they might
be some happy tenants.
You're going to have some happy tenants, but an unhappy seller who's going to have to.
Yeah.
Now they probably have a hard money loan and they're going to have to get it refinanced with what's called a DSCR loan, debt service coverage ratio loan. And that's not a happy person, but you got to have a plan B.
No, they may even violate their hard money loan agreement to put the tenant in it. So before they get the debt service coverage ratio met. So there's all kinds of problems with this.
All kinds of problems. Okay. So then the next thing I'm going to show you guys is another subdevelopment called Dale City. And this one's in Woodbridge, Virginia. I'm going to keep it at 2+ bathrooms. I'm going to go to Dale City. That inventory is a little newer, but it's still kind of old. So I'm going to go between 1965 to 1975. Okay. And then I'm just going to go single family houses and I'm going to go 2 levels. All right. Close is about 120 days. We like to go out about 3 to 4 months on the close side. Just because for us, 4 months in this market, it's kind of volatile. So we only want to go out 4. Some folks go out 6 months, but I think 6 months might be a little too long right now because anything that's sold in month 5 or 6 might be a little old because things are changing, especially with this rising interest rate environment. So I'll go ahead. See, I got 68 matches and I'm going to click the results and voila. Okay. What do you see?
A lot of under contract, active under contract and pending status.
Right. So
a lot of contract status.
Right. So what this is what a lot of folks are seeing on the Northern Virginia side and a lot of subdevelopments. And that's like, so we only have 1 active house. We have all these pendings and all these active under contracts, a couple coming soon. So what this tells me is that this is a very, very bullish market. The prices are going up. You're probably going to get multiple if you price it right, you're going to get multiple contracts. Okay. If you
a lot of demographic changes here.
Yep, a lot of demographic changes like this one that's on the market that's active. I'll click through some pictures. It has an extension in the back, but look at this condition. They're trying to sell it at 549.9, which is almost peak of the market, but this condition is absolutely
yeah.
It's terrible. This is not good condition for getting your maximum ARV. But they don't really, but they're not really concerned because they're the only game in town in this particular asset class. So they might just get their price.
They could well do that.
Yeah. So what you guys got to understand out there is that this is a very subdivision specific market, and you've got to understand the values of your properties to that most granular level. All right. Any questions?
Let's talk about some things that everyone's experiencing out there. Are you finding properties? Are you having difficulty finding them, selling them, financing them? What, anyone have any particular challenges out there? I see we should have seeded the population.
Good morning, you guys. I find that inventory is low.
Hi, Kelly.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, I'm finding that inventory is a little bit low, and when they are priced right, they're not staying on the market too long. I'm finding that my first time home buyers having to compete with investors is an issue.
Oh, for sure. Because right, they've got some maybe an FHA loan.
Yeah,
They're competing with people who have cash or hard money loans
yeah,
or
yeah.
lines of credit.
Kelly,
So
Kelly,
where,
Kelly,
what area?
yeah, tell everybody where you are.
I'm working in Prince George's County, Montgomery County.
Yeah.
Certain price points when they're in Montgomery County, like below 200 or 250, and they are priced right and accordingly. I mean, they'll be on the market for like 4 days tops and they get picked up. And so inventory is low. I feel on the listing side, if you list accordingly, conservatively, properties shouldn't sit on the market for too long. But I'm taking in all this information.
So what do you think's going on with with the market? Why isn't there more inventory, and why are there so many buyers in Prince George's and in Montgomery County in those price points versus all this inventory that's sitting right over the line, like 1 mile away in
Yeah.
the district?
Will inventory for me, I feel is a little bit low because if these sellers are sitting on these mortgages that are low that they've had for years, there's no way that they're going to sell to try to get a new loan for anything higher than what they have. So just kind of trying to get them in that mindset, or maybe they think, oh, I'm not going to get maximum price. But I think that's more so like what a lot of sellers have in their mind right now. There's no way they're going to get rid of their mortgage to get something higher.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And that's why, and I'm glad you're on, Kelly, because
Yeah.
she's in PG County and Montgomery County, right? And that's absolutely right. It's all about the inventory levels. But I don't know if you're on, Kelly, for this example, but this is Congress Heights in Washington, D.C.,
Uh-huh.
where there is a ton of inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to price it pretty low to sell this asset.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the danger of this market is exactly what you're saying. And you would think that the entry level properties would move too, but we're not sure why segments of Washington, well, we're kind of sure segments of Washington, D.C. are absolutely stalled and the prices are coming down.
So the demographic changes are the people aren't needing to commute into the city because they're working from home, and the interest rates being up, I think, is a major consideration for inventory not coming on the market. You hit it right on the head. People see that that loan they have as an asset that they want to keep, not just the house. So they're hanging on to that asset, and they're exactly right. It's a correct interpretation of what they have.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
a great observation. Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah, that's great. That's why also too, you guys as investors, you have to understand what you're competing with because, you're trying to buy these, for fix and flips. So it's really, really important that you understand your market down to the subdivision level. And if you're trying to win a fix and flip, like Kelly said, if there's no inventory and you're getting multiple offers on the contracts, then you can afford to maybe go a little bit higher in your buy price. But I'd be very careful about that these days, just because I'm seeing a lot of desperation out there with investors who are buying at prices that just don't make sense. They're trying to do what we call, they're trying to do eraser math. So what they're trying to do is they're saying, okay, well, if my out price is 500,000, right, and my renovation is 80,000, they're doing eraser math saying, oh, maybe I can get 525 on the out price. And then maybe my $80,000 renovation that's going to max out the ARV, instead of being 80, it might be 60. So they're going just the opposite ends on both those spectrums.
Yeah, they don't want to be conservative because they want to put a deal on the table. But the reality is that it's in their very best interest to be as conservative about the pricing as possible, right? You only want to do a deal if you're sure you're going to make some money on it. You don't want to speculate that you can get better costs of renovation or a higher market price than that you can actually see. You need to just look at what's reality based, because we're certainly going to and give you the same feedback. So you might as well start there. Anyone else who's having challenges in the marketplace or has a deal that they put together that has some questions or interest to others?
I see Teddy, you're on there, aren't you? Teddy, you got anything to say?
No. We had that one investment with you guys, but we're doing mostly retail. But that's why I came on, man, to learn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What are you seeing with your retail buyers today?
So
Retail buyers, well, we have a strategy with our new first time home buyers. We tell them that we look at the MLS on Tuesdays because any house that survived the weekend, the sellers are gonna start getting a little bit desperate, and it's ridiculous. 6 days on the market, day
Yeah.
7, they start panicking, and that's a
Yeah.
good time for our first time home buyers. So we look on the
That's a
MLS with
great
first time home
strategy.
buyers between Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so far it's worked. We were told we were in a multiple offer situation on one we just won, and we didn't come above ask, and we won. So I'm not sure we were really in multiple offer situations, but it
Yeah.
was looking, it was on the market 6 days.
Do you have them write
that's dicey.
compelling emotional? Do you have them write compelling emotional letters that the children love the neighborhood and all this sort of thing?
What we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think it doesn't make a difference, but it does. I've seen it like a million times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
I don't show those on the listing side, but we will write them on the buy side.
Yeah. No,
You
that's
don't. You don't show them. You don't show them as part of your package.
Yeah.
No, I just think that's pretty funny because Teddy goes 7 days on the market and the sellers are getting nervous.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
That is just, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, how nervous do you think they are in Congress Heights when they've been on the market 65 days?
Right.
Dropped the price 15%.
Yeah, they dropped it 449 to 419. And same, especially also too in DC, the condo market, that's saturated. The higher price points, anything above $1 million, 1.2, especially on the Northeast side. Northwest is still okay, but that's what we're trying to say, guys, is that, and even in Northern Virginia too, and probably Montgomery County, I can't speak to that too well, but I think anything higher price point, 1.2, 1.5 and above, that stuff is, if that's not done to the nines, that's probably going to sit too. Just because that buyer pool is not as,
Yeah. Unless you have a very specific, unique neighborhood or something that only has one property in it.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
All right. So any other questions or any other needs from you guys out there that we can help with and share our opinions with?
Hey guys, I was curious. I think maybe you just started to touch on it. You talked about neighborhood by neighborhood or subdivision or whatever, that there's a lot of variability. Is there a more general good market for entry level, that would cross? Although that very first example was that entry level, those properties, so it could cross all the different levels, or is entry level tend to be better?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the definition of entry level for us spreads upon depending on where you are. My entry level to me in Fairfax County is the sub 600 space. Entry level in Prince William County is probably around 400. The entry level in DC is about 400, 350 to 450. Entry level Montgomery County is similar to Fairfax County, 600 or lower. So PG County, I would say 350 or lower. That's considered your entry space. So Charles County, it's probably 300,000 or lower. So it just depends on where you're at. That for us defines the entry level space. And that's really important for us too, as lenders, because we want to make sure that you guys as rehabbers, fix and flip investors, that if you have an entry level product, we're going to feel a little bit more confident that number one, you're going to be able to sell it. But number two, if you can't sell it, you can go to plan B, rent it out, get a decent cash flow on the property, and then refinance us out. Because the number one thing for us is exit strategy. We have to understand your exit strategy, and we got to be comfortable with it.
How much do you think, you talked about obviously interest rates, how much do you think, DC sounds a little bit worse? Do you think the pricing is also in various places because of the remote work shift, or do you think that's sort of a lower issue, or do you maybe not have it must be hard to figure out what's causing the different prices. But what do you think of the remote work shift? Is that something to be watched for?
That's a setup, Sam. Can you answer that one?
Yeah, so I think
It is?
I think there are multiple factors, right? You have the interest rate, but that's universal, so it's obviously not just that. So you have the remote work shift. And I think honestly, you have a lot of crime issues. Like you can't have these massive public spike, on the news every day. These driving crimes, like crimes that affect everyone, not just a crime between people who know one another, but hundreds and hundreds of unsolved carjackings and all manner of property and personal crime, without impacting home values. And in areas that have the highest degree of that, we see the most impact. Now, I don't know if I did an entire correlation analysis between things to the degree to which that is, but it's definitely observation. You can definitely observe it. Your southeast quadrant has the highest. You just saw it in Congress Heights, the highest crime and the highest drop, and maybe comparable to Northeast. And Northeast is a very interesting space because there's been a lot of redevelopment in that area, or gentrification of that area, and now you cannot give away condos in that neighborhood. Now they have a lot of inventory of brand new condos too that you're competing with in some of these areas, like around Union Market. Maybe they've converted those condos to apartments, but the same people are going to occupy them, and that's challenging. That's another level of challenge in those areas. The Southwest waterfront has had crime, but is so nascent in its development. It has the waterfront that's very popular. That's doing pretty well, and Northwest continues to be in a place where you could sell a house, but there's just no buyers at certain price points. I mean, if you get to 1.4, we have a number of clients that completely develop their asset perfectly, and they're just sitting, and they will adjust the price, and they sit, and no one comes, and we see that plenty of times. So,
that's why
multiple factors.
That's why, again, I mean, you really have got to get the skills, and especially you guys online. If you're not a realtor and you don't have access to the MLS, you better quickly get somebody who has access to the MLS, because you've got to see it down to that granular level so you can make decisions.
And in a project, and as to wrap it up, I think I'm going to just tell you about one of our projects that we've worked on, and this was a property that we bought at auction, and it was a waterfront property on the junction of 95 and Swan Point Road. You could see it as you passed over 95. It's a single family house on a few acres, 3 acres. And what we wanted to do with it, once we took it back, was to subdivide it and sell it to a developer. And this was 3 years ago. And thinking that, in talking to our engineers and so forth, it would take about a year to get the subdivision done. We put a temporary tenant in it to rent it as is. He took care of the maintenance at a low price. You could just move out any time with about 30 to 60 days notice. And we went about trying to get our development plans approved. Well, we did get them approved, but it took 3 years, and it cost over $100,000 in development plan. And so we started to market it when it was just prior to final signature of the approval, and there was no interest at a developer level because the site required so much development work to put a road in and do this, and prices are so uncertain right now. And material costs being high. Only 2 of the lots were waterfront. There were a couple of detracting factors. We had no commercial interest, and in that same time, I put it on the MLS as a commercial property. I got a call from an agent who said, "My people just want to take that house and set up like a family compound situation in a pretty big house and leave it and not develop it, but we want your approved plans." So she both wanted the plans, but wanted the original use, which was like the least anticipated outcome. So she said, "Can we go in the house?" and make a contingent on the inspection. I said, I haven't even been in the house. So we're not selling it that way. Eventually, about a week later, she calls back and said, we'll just waive all the contingencies and we'll buy it. We just need to get in the house and take a look at it to make sure it sort of meets our overall needs. And the tenants, of course, let them right in. And sure enough, they bought this property with no contingencies, not for development purposes, and they're going to occupy it. And so that's a little bit of a twist. You don't know where, so when you take on a more complicated project, you don't really know where it's going to end, no matter how skilled you are at it. You can't be sure of the dependencies of a pandemic comes and the county slows way down. You're stuck in a development process that you have no control over, and you don't know what the market's going to be like at the end. So when you have a really long time horizon on your property, on your exit, it really can impact. And we did quite well economically on it. It was fine, really fine. But it was uncertain on how that would end. And I really, for you have to make sure you're not getting into one of those situations unless you know what you're getting into. So start small, I think, is the answer to that.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions from you guys? All right. So then we'll get to the last topic, and that's what, Sam? Good deeds?
Yep. Anyone got a good deed, something we can do for you, something someone's done for someone else that wanted to discuss?
Well, I got a good deed.
All right.
I did. So I coach a U17 AAU basketball team, and we've been in a bunch of national tournaments since July 1. I've been on the road quite a bit, and these are all college showcase tournaments. And I had 9 players. I said I had because now it's finally over. So I had 9 players, and out of the 9 players, 7 of them will play college basketball. Probably 2 or 3 will play Division I. So we're over in one of our games we played. It was a pretty high profile game. We played one in Harrisburg that was high profile, and then one down in Virginia Beach. And people are loaded around the court. We had about 20 or 30 college coaches at each game, and we ended up winning both games. And a couple of my kids played really, really well. So that's good. So that's what I've been up to the last few weeks. Kelly, sorry about that. So my schedule should probably thin out here a little bit in the next month or so. That's my good deed.
All right. Well, we'll see everybody again in about a month's time. We'll get out another note and have probably a broader base of people to visit with. Thank you for coming for our very first day.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks
Thank you
for the invite, guys.
information, guys.
Thank you.